If I can be that bold and I can dive through the legs of someone I highly look up to and everything is more than okay afterwards, that just maybe I can do the scary, hard things to move me forward in my business. So what is there to be scared of? Take the chance. This is the Energy Within podcast, helping you to embrace your weirdness, find the confidence to be your true self, and fully step into your soul's purpose. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 160, not only recorded on my iPhone, but this time recorded it in an airport, which you can probably hear in the background. There's announcements overhead, there's people walking by, there's extra noises. I've tried to find a semi-quiet area, but it's an airport. And while I told you last week I was going to give myself some grace on when I release this one, I am still doing that because there's no way I'm going to be able to edit this before Wednesday. It's Monday right now. And I honestly thought, in looking at the schedule, that I would have a little bit of downtime while I was on this trip at Marketing Impact Academy Live. And I didn't. I kind of did, but I was so tired. The days were so good, but they were so long. And then by the time you get done, it's time to go grab something for dinner. And then once that's done, you realize it's 8:30 here. I'm in California. But, oh yeah, that's why I'm so tired. It's 10:30 back home. So, oh, look at that. It's time for bed. And then everything started so early in the morning. And 2 of the 4 days that I've been here, I worked out in the morning. So that meant getting up even earlier. And the last 2 days, I decided to allow my body to rest and sleep in because I'm still so tired. I thought that I would catch up on some rest, being able to sleep as early as I wanted to, and maybe even have an opportunity for like a little cat nap here and there, but that just didn't happen. So I'm still tired, but that's okay. I got a lot of ideas in my head and made a lot of awesome connections, new friends, had amazing conversations. And this episode is really just kind of going to be me processing it all, but in a way, it's kind of the next step from last week's episode about finding your purpose. Because there was such a variety of people here, all different types of businesses and all different levels. People who are already millionaires in the audience and people who have absolutely no idea what they're even going to do. They just know they want to do something for themselves, that they want to have some kind of business. So it's a wide range. And even so, I would still say the majority was based on a question of raise your hand if this is your first time here, which doesn't necessarily mean a brand new business, but for most, I think it does. There were a lot of people who it was their first time there. And it was my first time at MIA too, but it's not my first stab at doing my thing or trying to find my thing. Like, I'm at least a couple steps beyond that, not too much further, but at least a couple. But so many, and from the questions that people tended to ask, so many are still just trying to figure out their purpose, trying to figure out their thing, wanting to make sure that they do the right thing, that they take the right step. And here's the first answer, because if you're here, you're likely like me, where you know you're made for something bigger and you're trying to find out what that thing is, and maybe you've been struggling in figuring that out. The first step, kind of like I was saying last week, is to stop overcomplicating it and literally just pick something. Chalene Johnson, who runs the Marketing Impact Academy, talks a lot about her story where when she first became known for fitness, and then that grew to this huge thing that made her this fitness celebrity, that wasn't her passion. She obviously enjoyed it, was passionate about it, but it wasn't her calling. It wasn't what she felt called in her soul to do. She always wanted to help people in business. But at the time, it was the thing that was taking off, and it was the thing that was going to make money. So she followed it. There was enough passion there for her to be okay following it. It wasn't just simply for the money, but she just knew that it wouldn't always be what she did. So, and she also had a bazillion other businesses before that. So let that be maybe some comfort to you that you don't have to pick the thing. You don't have to get it right from the get-go, because nobody does. Nobody that I've ever listened to telling their entrepreneurial journey, nobody ever started out doing what they're now doing, which is the thing that's made them known for something, the thing that's made them the most money or whatever it is, or the thing that has become their purpose, the way that they help people. So start by knowing that you do absolutely have a bigger purpose, a bigger calling, and know, again, like I said last week, that it's really just to be yourself. And basically, in doing that, to let others know that it's okay to be themselves, because we've reached this point where it's hard for us to be ourselves for some reason. So unlearning everything and instead learning to just be who you are and be okay with that, letting your light shine, no matter how cheesy that sounds, being the light in this world by just being yourself. That's your purpose. So it doesn't matter what you do. So stop worrying so much about doing the wrong thing or failing, because you're going to get it wrong. Or maybe you're not going to get it wrong, but it's going to open up another path that's going to lead you somewhere else, that's going to maybe be even better, or maybe it's still going to be slightly not the right thing and you've got to pivot again. But eventually it's going to lead you to where you're supposed to be. But you can't get there unless you start moving. I wouldn't have gotten to where I'm at right now if I hadn't just started this podcast as Rockstar Confidence, if I hadn't started by thinking I was going to be a confidence coach, and if I hadn't just let it evolve how it was going to evolve. Now here's the other lesson. So if you've listened long enough, you know that by nature, I am actually an introvert. I identify kind of actually unintentionally the same way that Chalene Johnson does. I am an extroverted introvert, so I can absolutely be extroverted. I love being extroverted. I love being the center of attention when I feel it's right, but I recharge by getting alone time. So even though I'm still tired, I needed this retreat. And even though I interacted with other people, like, it's still solo time from my normal everyday life, so I can kind of reset, take stock, get refreshed as best I can. And the last live event, the last real big live event that I was at was, I believe, 2013, and it was the last Camp Do More, also a Chalene Johnson thing. And it was when she was still involved in fitness, and she would run this camp every year. It was like a adult camp. And it was all around her fitness program. So we would do all the different workouts, turbo kick, hip hop hustle, plyo. There was a dance party. There were motivational lectures scattered in between. And while I did talk to people, I was always enthusiastic and excited. I went to everything. I'll use the dance party as an example. I always went to the dance party. And I know I danced a little. And even one year it may have been the first year, there was this other couple of guys there, and it's a long story, so I won't get into the whole thing. But we jumped on stage when a Lady Gaga song started playing and busted out a Lady Gaga routine. They had already had something practiced, and I was just kind of going along with it, being Lady Gaga, and they were like the backup dancers. But beyond that, like, I wasn't really out on the dance floor much, and I don't even think I stayed for the whole thing every time, because I wasn't dancing. I wasn't interacting with people. I may have been hanging out with the women I was rooming with, and we were talking, but they also weren't really out there dancing. And I wasn't quite that bold yet. I was, still had the extrovert in me, but she didn't always come out quite as often. And let me back up this year just a little bit. It keeps coming up. I keep getting the reminder that one of the words that I wrote down for myself for this year, and granted it's October already, but back in January, one of the words I wrote down besides intentional, and I forget what else, I'll have to look back. See, clearly I still have to do better with my New Year's resolutions, but I know intentional was one of them. Bold was the last one that came to me, and I remember that one because it wasn't one I was planning on writing down. It didn't pop into my head right away until I wrote the other ones down, and I wrote it in all caps, real big at the bottom of the page. And I know I haven't quite fulfilled that boldness as much as I know I am being pushed to energetically and by my guides, but it keeps coming up. Like I keep getting that nudge and that reminder. And the word itself popped up a couple times this weekend. But okay, so I set the intention that I was going to be open to meeting people, talking to people, open to receiving what I needed to hear, open to abundance. And I even did some yoga and some Reiki to make sure that, my heart chakra was open, that my root was feeling grounded, so that I was feeling safe while I was opening myself up and not getting scared and trying to close up again and go back to my introvert ways. And right from the moment I landed and I met the first two people I was going to share a ride with to the hotel, every conversation I had, I'm not joking, every single one I had with every person I met, whether it was a 20-minute conversation, a 2-minute conversation, someone that I stayed connected with the entire weekend, it didn't matter. Every single one led me to a new realization, tied some things together for me, and even pushed me into admitting who it is that I really should be saying that I want to help, which are the same people that I believe I've been helping, female entrepreneurs or women who want to be entrepreneurs and know that they're made for more. I just don't really always say it out loud. I've been putting it in vague terms because I've been afraid to say that out loud. So names of things may possibly be changing. My intro may change a little bit, but it's not really going to change what I say, what I do, who I've been helping already, where I've been leading people. It's just being a little bit more honest in how I present it up front so that I can attract more of the right people. So stay tuned for that. But every conversation, and when does that happen? That literally every conversation is because I set the intention to be bold and to be open to it. I fully believe that. It's because I set that intention. So it didn't matter that I was an introvert. If I didn't find people, they were going to find me. And then a true exercise in being bold, so stay with me. So if you do follow Chalene Johnson at all, if you don't, maybe you'll want to go look this up so you fully understand. Her kids both got married within about a month of each other just a couple months ago. So not really that long ago. The last one was maybe a month ago exactly. And she's all over Instagram, so she was posting highlights, of course, and they all love to dance. So both weddings, everybody was on the dance floor, and one of her best friends, a long time ago, like probably back in the 90s, started, like, she would just drop down and just, like, crawl on the dance floor, and not even, like, nothing funky, nothing weird, but just, like, funky and weird in a fun, kind of lighthearted way, if that makes sense. And like diving through people's legs and just being weird. And it's a thing that has apparently stuck. And so it happens anytime there is a dance floor with the Johnsons, and whether or not that friend is there, like well, not everybody, but a lot of people end up diving on the floor and crawling between people and just being weird. And Shalene had said in many of her podcasts leading up to MIA that at the dance party, there's a VIP dance party, and at that party, she said it's going to be a continuation of the wedding dance parties. So there better be some crawling on the floor. I want people's knees to be sore the next day. And people were a little subdued for what I was expecting, actually, just across the entire weekend. But a lot of people, again, it's their first time. They may not know Shalene as well as some of the rest of us do who have been following her for a long time, where you're going to get up and dance, not just stretch, but you're going to get up and dance in between speakers, and that the dance party is supposed to be like this big thing. And nobody was getting on the floor. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to do it. And not only am I going to copy the move, I'm going to crawl through Shalene's legs. And all of the what ifs were going through my head. And I had opportunities that I just kept not taking. And then the opportunity would go by. And then I'm nervous. Like, what if, she's not expecting it and I knock her over and then she's mad at me. And I consider her a mentor and she also knows who I am. And all of the things. So I'm finally... one half of my brain is saying all those questions. The other half of my brain goes, there's your chance. Go, 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 go. So I went for it. And I dove down and I crawled through and came out the other side and did a pose. And she was cracking up. She ran over. She gave me a double high five. And it's okay. Everything's okay. I'm still alive. She's still alive. I didn't knock her over. I made her laugh. And absolutely, I'm going to turn something stupid like that into a lesson. If I can be that bold and I can dive through the legs of someone I highly look up to and everything is more than okay afterwards, that just maybe I can do the scary, hard things to move me forward in my business. It doesn't mean maybe it should just mean that I can just flip a switch and be like, okay, we're just going to do this now. Maybe it's still going to take some more baby steps for me. But I have evidence now. That's the thing. Even though it's not in the same vein, diving through someone's feet on the dance floor is not the same, really, as doing things in business. But the principle is the same. You have to be bold. You have to do the scary things. And you have to trust that either it's going to work out or it's not going to, but either way, you're going to be okay. Most likely, it's going to work out, and you're always going to be okay. Because even if it doesn't work out, it's just a lesson. It's something to learn from that's still going to move you forward, because now you know what not to do. So what is there to be scared of? Take the chance. The opportunities will keep presenting themselves, but maybe you'll only get so many at one time. So just take the chance. There was someone else who had fear of doing the wrong thing or of being worthy, and Shalene's response to her was, well, what happens if you do fail? I was like, well, I'm just going to be in the same spot that I'm at now. So then what happens if you succeed? Well, then everything changes and life opens up and things get better. But see, the difference is that you don't necessarily drop further down or go backwards just because something doesn't work out. You're going to stay where you are. So why not at least take the chance and just see what could happen? Who cares if it's the right answer right off the bat? Learn from it. Brock Johnson, her son, said the same thing about posting a reel that flops. You don't have to look at it as a failure. It's just a data point. It's something to learn from. Analyze it. What could have been better? What was good? But what could you fix? What could you improve upon? And then go do it. You get to control your energy. You get to control who you want to be, what you want to project, how you want to help people. But none of it is going to go anywhere unless you take a step. Just a step. Start somewhere. And know that you can pivot 100,000 times if you need to. It's okay. Don't give up on yourself. Don't pivot just because you're giving up on yourself. but keep learning and pivot because you learned something. So I think that's where I'll wrap it up. I hope that was helpful. I hope that background noise wasn't too distracting. And this journey is going to continue, and it's only going to get better. So I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. I want you to take those steps forward and see what's possible for you. I believe it for you, so I want you to believe it for you too. If you enjoyed this episode, if anything resonated with you, please share it and help the show to reach more people and to grow. Share it with a friend, or better yet, share it on your social media, and make sure that you tag me as well so that I can say thank you. If you're tagging me on Instagram, make sure you tag I am Carrie Jokala. And if you need some help getting grounded, opening up your confidence, opening up your heart to receive abundance, please come see me for a Reiki session and let's work through this together. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.